Marndale to the Burn Circle. The Kennedy heavy early this morning, almost 45 minutes in from O'Hare to downtown. You're looking at just about a 30-minute trip to the airport. Taking our first look at weather, off to a foggy start. The National Weather Service says we are under a fog advisory for this morning. There's also about a 40% chance of rain today. Temperatures starting out in the 50s this morning. We're headed to a daytime high of around 63. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm Annette Illinois on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Illinois, we need to be able to trust our next senator. And Juliana Stratton isn't being honest about who she is. Stratton's massive super PAC is funded by the very contractor running the Broadview ICE Detention Center. ICE raids Chicago. Stratton benefits from ICE contractor cash. Juliana Stratton even got caught lying about refusing money from MAGA donors. We can't trust Juliana Stratton. Democrat Robin Kelly is a real progressive. Unbought, unbossed.
Outstanding members of the House of Representatives, Robin Kelly.
Barack Obama knows. Robin Kelly always fights for us. Lowering costs, raising wages, stopping gun violence. Real progressive Robin Kelly for U.S. Senate. Endorsed by the Congressional Black Caucus and elect Democratic women. Paid for by Protect Progress and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Protect Progress is responsible for the content of this advertising. www.protectprogresspac.com.
Got questions about where to go to vote? No problem. Visit WVON.com for our complete voter's guide. WVON, vote.
Live from the Xfinity Studios, it's the station that America listens to. WVON, Berwyn, Chicago. It's Rufus Williams on Chicago's essential storyteller, WVON.
The views expressed on our programs are not necessarily those of WVON, Midway Broadcasting Corporation, or our participating sponsors.
If you're not out of the bed yet, then what are you waiting for? It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on 1690 WVON.
Every day you're walking by and I can see how you shine. Here I am alone with nothing but a dream that you are mine. Just exactly what I'll do, I don't know, baby, but I gotta find a way to reach you. Tell me what I gotta do to get to your house. Tell me where I gotta go and make to be with you. Tell me what I gotta say and make to speak to your heart. Tell me what I need to know tonight.
Keep your eyes on the road and both hands on the steering wheel. We will not be held responsible for any accidents. It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
The Audio Genius.
Get in on the conversation with Rufus Williams and the Morning Show at 591-1690. We are the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Good morning, and welcome to Tuesday. It is the 10th of March, the year 2026. It's the Rufus Williams Show, and I am Rufus Williams, and as always, thrilled, excited, and absolutely delighted to be here with you this morning, and thank you so much for waking up with Rufus. The team's all here. T-Dub, how you doing this morning?
I'm great. How are you this morning?
I'm good. Did you ever leave last night? Because I stopped back in after 6 and did some things. You were still here and didn't look like you were about to go.
I only left about maybe a couple hours ago. So
a couple hours. Okay, well, told you, get a cot. Hang around.
At this point.
Hang around for a while. Annette, how are you this morning?
Things are great this morning. Just a little foggy getting here. Otherwise, starting a great start to a day.
Foggy, warm, but they say it's going to get a little chillier later on.
Just a bit, I still think it's pretty mild. 58 for a low is not too bad.
58 for a low in Chicago in March is great. I did go out and play golf yesterday because why not?
Where did you go?
I went to Odyssey down in Tinley Park.
Nice.
It was one of the few places we could find that was open and had room. So it was daylight savings time hit. So it all worked out. Now, played okay. First time to play in Chicago in this year. Got some pars. No birdies, but it was a good outing. I'm planning on playing some golf this year because we lost to the Qs last year, and I ain't happy with that. So I'm coming in, giving it my absolute best shot. No distractions like there were last time. We're going to be ready because we can't be losing to these guys. It just doesn't work. I had a great time last night. Got a chance to listen to Senator Jim Clyburn. He's in town. He has a new book out, The First Eight, and he talks a lot about Reconstruction. He was interviewed by Eartha and Cousins, right at Taste 222. Everybody was there. Robin Kelly was there. The mayor was there. The governor was there. The gang was all there. Everybody was there, and I was there too. But it was a good evening, good talk. Just a great guy. I did not recruit him to talk about his book. I don't know why, but there's still time. Maybe somebody will go up to Northwestern and tell him, what, you really need to talk to Rufus. Mm-hmm. But we'll make those things happen. It was selfish of me not to do so because we do this so that everybody can get a chance to understand his story. So my bad. I'll work on that. In the meantime, don't have any more time to talk to you all because we have a guest in the studio. Big time guest in the studio. It is none other than the Commissioner of Aviation, Mr. Michael McMurray. Michael, Commissioner, thank you for being here on WVON. Thanks for coming to the studio.
Yeah, good morning, Rufus. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Appreciate it.
This is good. So first of all, we talk about the Department of Aviation, and that's a lot that's in there. Give us a sense of what it is that we talk about when we talk about this.
Sure. Well, when we talk about the Chicago Department of Aviation, we're talking about two airports, O'Hare International Airport and Midway International Airport. Together, about 48,000 badge employees in the airport system itself, at O'Hare rather, 8,000 at Midway. In terms of what it really means to Chicago and the region, we're talking $70 billion of economic activity annually.
70 with a B.
70 with a B, and 700,000 aviation-related jobs in the region. So that's the impact that we have, not just for Chicago, but the region and obviously the very entire nation. Our airport system is one of the most busy, one of the most comprehensive airport systems in the world, actually.
One of the most busy.
We're the busiest right now in the U.S., and we'll see what the numbers look like in the next month or two as far as being the busiest in the world.
Well, we like being we like being number one.
That's right.
There's some, as you have no doubt traveled around the world, there are some really big and busy airports in a lot of places. London Heathrow being one that comes to mind. The airport in Singapore is another one. Big, beautiful airports that are busy because whether or not some people in Washington believe it, we're not the only place in the world.
That's right.
So you've been here. You've been in this role since May of last year.
That is correct, for about 10 months, Rufus. And it's been fantastic. A lot's going on with the Chicago Department of Aviation, particularly O'Hare International Airport. So I stepped into this role right before we broke ground on our new Concourse D. But we're in the midst of modernizing at O'Hare our operations. We're modernizing our airport facilities, and we're modernizing our technology at O'Hare. So at a time when most other airports are structurally pressured in many ways, either through rising operating costs, aging infrastructure, rising passenger demands, we're in a very unique position, particularly at O'Hare right now, with our ORD Next program. That's our $8.4 billion, terminal modernization program that we have going on right now at O'Hare.
So you all like playing in the billions. This is pretty significant. Where's the money come from to do these kind of expansions?
So the money is coming from our airline partners, and we're very grateful for all of our airline partners, particularly United Airlines, our hometown airlines, also American Airlines. So they're investing heavily here at O'Hare Airport, and then at Midway. You know, Southwest is one of the hub carriers there. They're investing heavily at Midway. But again, getting back to O'Hare, American Airlines, United Airlines, and some federal grants as well with respect to some of the terminal projects that we have going on at Terminal 3 and Terminal 5.
Terminal D. Tell us about Terminal D.
Good. So great. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, we have this $8.4 billion expansion program going on at O'Hare. It's an 8 to 10 year project. We broke ground on the first of 3 facilities, new facilities that we're building at O'Hare, and that's Concourse D, $1.3 billion, 590,000 square foot terminal concourse at O'Hare, just south of Concourse C. We broke ground last April, about 8 months ago. We're very excited about it. As I mentioned, 590,000 square feet. We have about 30,000 feet of lounge space, 20,000 of commercial space, a children's play area. And so we're very excited about this. It'll have 19 gates. These gates will be very versatile for either wide body or narrow body aircraft. So it'll be good for connectivity. So that Concourse D, again, we broke ground in August of last year. It'll be ready toward maybe the fourth quarter of 2028. It's on schedule, it's on budget, and we're very excited about it.
Fantastic. We're talking to the Commissioner of Aviation, Mr. Michael McMurray, here in the studio. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back right after this.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
What if you could have the most reliable Wi-Fi? And get this, what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Just 5 years of fiber-powered Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to the devices that need them most. That finds and fixes problems before you even notice them. Like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. And that keeps you gaming in the fast lane, even when the whole family's banking on bandwidth. And here's the best part. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and our best equipment included. Plus, get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. Hey, let's face it, a lot can change in 5 years. Kids grow taller, dreams grow bigger, but your Wi-Fi, it would stay reliable and the price would stay put. The Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only. Restrictions apply. Powered by fiber. Connects to the premises by coaxial cable. Actual speeds vary.
Hi, I'm Richard Boykin, and I want to be your next congressman in the 7th Congressional District. I have a sense of urgency. Now is the time to reverse the cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, and SNAP benefits. Now is the time to extend the Obamacare subsidies. Now is the time to close the life expectancy gap and other healthcare disparities. Now is the time to close the wealth disparity. Now is the time to close the achievement gap. Now is the time to protect Social Security for our senior citizens. Now is the time to pass a constitutional amendment recognizing healthcare as a right. Now is the time to make housing more affordable. Now is the time to fight. Punch 39. Richard Boykin for Congress. Paid for and authorized by Richard Boykin for Congress.
This is Khomeini Khan, certified financial planner professional. For the past year, I've been on a mission to change lives and build wealth in our community. Together, we're changing the paradigm. This year, I'm back with a new series, Wealth Strategies, Money Talks. Join me every Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. on the Rufus Williams Show as we have thoughtful discussions around building wealth in our community. We'll discuss topics like investing, savings, tax strategies, retirement, and all things money. Yes, that's Tuesday at 8:30 a.m., so set those alarms. Also, be sure to check out the podcast at WVONWealthShow.com.
Khomeini Khan is a certified financial planner professional with Optimal Planning Partners in alliance with Equitable Advisors, LLC, member SIPC in Oak Brook, Illinois. For more information, please call 630-575-5046.
This report is brought to you by Blindster.com. Kyle Cox started Blindster in his garage back in 2010. Since then, they've sold millions of custom blinds, shades, and shutters nationwide. Their blinds are DIY friendly, guaranteed to fit, and always cheaper than big box stores. Blindster.com.
WVON traffic and weather now.
As expected, these travel times are ramping up pretty quickly. We're up to 28 minutes on the Ryan in from 95th Street into downtown. The Bishop Ford still holding on to 17 minutes in from I-80-94. Tuskegee Airmen Memorial now 18 in from I-80. Things along DuSable Lakeshore Drive still pretty quiet. 67th Street to Jackson, you're still looking at just about 15 minutes. On the north end of town, that trip from Hollywood to Monroe, we are seeing some heavy delays right around Bryn Mawr. If you're on the Stevenson, you're now looking at 54 minutes in from I-355 to DuSable Drive. The inbound side of the Eisenhower just bumped up to nearly an hour from Thorndale to the Burns Circle. Still just about 55 minutes on the Kennedy in from O'Hare to downtown, just about a 28-minute trip to the airport. A little foggy conditions this morning. The National Weather Service says there is about a 40% chance of rain today. But right now we're looking at 58 degrees at Midway, 58 in Chatham, and 58 here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm NF Lenoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Keep your eyes on the road and both hands on the steering wheel. We will not be held responsible for any accidents. It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Welcome back. We are talking with Commissioner Michael J. McMurray. He is the Commissioner of Aviation here, Department of Aviation here in Chicago. When we talk about the number of jobs that come through or that are impacted by aviation, or the amount of money that we've talked about, talk about the involvement of our community. Talk about the involvement of Black folks in the supply chain and the jobs and
Sure.
in business. How are we benefiting from this?
Sure. And that's a great question. One of the things that we're doing is, we believe firmly in Mayor Johnson's vision, right? That, to invest in the people of Chicago. That's important to the mayor. He always, he reminds me of that constantly, and I'm glad that he does that. One of the things that we're really doing is following his lead, Mayor Johnson's lead, in investing in our young people, right? Particularly, and so I'll start there. There's a number of programs we have for our young people: job training, skill buildings, community organizing and activity, a number of internships for both high school students and college students, airport visits at both airports, job fairs, expos. So there are a number of ways for people to get involved, particularly, people in and around the city of Chicago. With the amount of economic impact that we have here, it's the mayor's directive that everybody in the city of Chicago in all 77 neighborhoods benefits from that economic activity. And then we also have, again, every year we sponsor in May a big jobs and small business expo, one of the biggest in the city, particularly obviously for airports, where we bring industry people together, aviation officials, city residents, so that they can meet and see how they can maybe do business together. So there are a number of things we do with respect to that. And then we also have, particularly for small businesses, minority and women-owned businesses, we have business resource centers at both O'Hare Airport and Midway Airport. You can go on our website at flychicago.org/jobs, and you can see some of the things that we have available, job opportunities, business opportunities that are key. There's a ton of opportunities, whether it's construction, it may be architecture, engineering, it could be concessions, business owners, just an array of things and opportunities that are at the airports that allow people to make a great salary, a living wage, so they can support their families. They can be a vital part of their community, send their kids to school. And these are great paying jobs. So I really do hope people go to flychicago.org to look at our website so they can get more information about the opportunities that are available at both of our airports. But we think it's very key that everybody in all of 77 neighborhoods in Chicago participate in the economic opportunities there. One of the things that we do have, Rufus, is that I'm very excited about too, is we have this bus. It's I forget what we call it right now, but should know. But it's a bus with flight simulators in it, has information about how to do business in the city of Chicago. We call it Papa Blue. We bring it out primarily during the summer months, in the fall, to different communities in and around the city of Chicago to expose people to aviation, the opportunities at aviation, particularly at our airports. Kids can get in, and adults, to use flight simulators. We have actually flight simulators that can use. And again, also just information about aviation itself and about opportunities, both jobs and businesses, and how to do business with the Chicago Department of Aviation. Again, I mentioned earlier, I can't say it enough, $70 billion of economic impact. And that's on the conservative side. So I'm saying 70 billion, and that's on the conservative side.
Yeah, that's a lot of zeros.
It is.
Let's do this. I need to go to news, but when we come back, I'd like to talk about, as you talk about jobs and careers and things, how you got into this business.
Sure.
And as well as, why can't we have the same kind of concessions at O'Hare that we see when we go to places like, I don't know, Charlotte? We'll be back. We'll be back more with the commissioner right after this.
It's 58 degrees in Chicago, and we're looking at a fog advisory in our area. I'm in Flournoy, and here's what's happening. A judge is ordering former Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard to pay $10,000 in back rent and damages. According to reports, Cook County Sheriff's deputies tried and failed to serve Henyard with eviction papers back in October 2024. She and her boyfriend are accused of failing to pay rent for their home. The Civilian Office of Police Accountability is investigating a deadly police-involved shooting. Perry Williams reports.
The incident happened yesterday evening in the 800 block of North Holman Avenue. This resident was near the scene.
Once the shots went off, I yelled for her to run in the house. And then we just hid in the house for a few minutes until it cleared off.
Police say officers tried to stop the driver of a vehicle suspected of being involved in an earlier shooting. The car sped off and struck a woman in the street before he was stopped, and 6 shots rang out. The suspect was taken to a hospital where he was pronounced dead. The woman struck by the vehicle was taken to a hospital in good condition. I'm Perry Williams.
And groups are asking for a special prosecutor to investigate Midway Bliss. They're petitioning to investigate federal agents' actions, use of force while conducting immigration enforcement last fall. Well, that's a look at our news now on 1690 WVON. Traffic and weather up next. WVON News Time, 7:34.
Illinois, we need to be able to trust our next senator. And Juliana Stratton isn't being honest about who she is. Stratton's massive super PAC is funded by the very contractor running the Broadview ICE Detention Center. ICE raids Chicago. Stratton benefits from ICE contractor cash. Juliana Stratton even got caught lying about refusing money from MAGA donors. We can't trust Juliana Stratton. Democrat Robin Kelly is a real progressive. Unbought, unbossed.
Outstanding members of the House of Representatives, Robin Kelly.
Barack Obama knows. Robin Kelly always fights for us. Lowering costs, raising wages, stopping gun violence. Real progressive Robin Kelly for U.S. Senate. Endorsed by the Congressional Black Caucus and elect Democratic women. Paid for by Protect Progress and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Protect Progress is responsible for the content of this advertising. www.protectprogresspac.com.
Chicago, let's be honest. We have more Black elected officials than ever before. But do we have more power? We have more access. But do we have more wealth? And here's the real question. Did one generation build the path forward, or did they leave the hardest work undone? Join me, Rufus Williams, along with Robert Blackwell Jr. and Lee Allen Jones, for a bold intergenerational debate on Black political power and Black economic power. The debate happens on Thursday, March 12th, 6 p.m. at Killer Span House, 140 South Clark Street, Suite 180. Because the future won't be decided by history, it will be decided by what we do now. Check us out on Vine TV, where we'll be broadcasting live. You can access Vine TV on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV Plus, WVON.com, the WVON app, and on VON.TV.
Tuned in to your favorite WVON personalities on Facebook Live? Don't just watch, like it, love it, share it. Every click helps us grow the conversation and keep the community strong. So remember, like it, love it, share it, Chicago.
Hello, this is Congressman Danny Davis, and I want to tell you why I'm supporting Tony Preckwinkle for Cook County Board President. When Donald Trump targeted our community and deployed mass ICE agents onto our streets, Tony fought back, barring ICE from county buildings, especially our hospitals, and with Governor Pritzker, defeated Trump in court. Tony has also taken on the financial pressure facing our families. She led the effort to eliminate medical debt in Cook County, work that has now erased $1.5 billion for our residents. For 15 years, she's balanced the county budget without raising property taxes, expanded health care to more than 400,000 people through county care, and invested hundreds of millions of dollars in community safety and small business. That's why I'm with Tony. I'm Congressman Danny Davis. Join me, Governor Pritzker, and so many others across Cook County in supporting Tony Preckwinkle for County Board President.
Paid for by Preckwinkle for President.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
Chicago, Juliana Stratton isn't being honest about who she is. Fact, Juliana Stratton was the hand-picked candidate of the corrupt Madigan machine, the same machine that spent millions to put her in office. And Stratton repaid the favor, defending Mike Madigan even after his bribery scheme was exposed. Fact, Stratton's massive super PAC is funded by the very contractor running the Broadview ICE Detention Center. Think about it. ICE raids Chicago. Stratton benefits from ICE contractor cash. Fact, Juliana Stratton got caught lying about refusing money from MAGA donors. That's right, Stratton's campaign is bankrolled by MAGA Republicans. Madigan machine, ICE contractor cash, MAGA money. Add those facts up and it's clear. Saying one thing, doing another. That's Juliana Stratton. Paid for by Fair Shake and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Fair Shake is responsible for the content of this advertising. www.fairshakepac.com.
Hey everybody, this is Kendall Moore, The Kendall Moore Show, getting you from your work week to your weekend each and every Friday night from 6 until 9 p.m. I get you from your work week to your weekend. Church. Tabernacle.
Kendall Moore, radio for the next generation on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 AM, WVON.
This report is sponsored by WeatherBug. Get the fastest local alerts and accurate 24/7 forecasts with WeatherBug. It's easy to use and provide real-time customizable alerts so the weather never takes you by surprise. Plan every day with confidence. Download the free WeatherBug app from the App Store now.
WVON, traffic and weather now.
We're looking at high volumes and high traffic times pretty much across the board, starting with the Ryan, just bumped up to 30 minutes in from 95th Street into downtown, with those usual slow spots between 95th Street and 63rd, then again at 55th all the way to the Stevenson. If you're on the inbound side of the Bishop Ford, you're now looking at 20 minutes in from I-8094 to the Ryan, still heavy right around 111th Street. Tuskegee Airmen Memorial, now a 21-minute trip in from I-80. DuSable Lakeshore Drive just jumped up to 18 minutes from 67th Street to Jackson, still heavy right around Hayes. On the north end of DuSable, pretty solid right around Bryn Mawr. The Stevenson 55 minutes in from I-355 to DeSable Drive. The Eisenhower in from Thorndale to the Burns Circle, now an hour 2, outbound 50. The Kennedy still holding on to that 50-minute trip in from O'Hare to downtown. You do want to factor in a crash blocking the right lane at Division. Outbound getting to the airport, a 28-minute trip. Foggy and humid this morning. The National Weather Service says we're looking at a 40% chance of rain, so grab the umbrella just in case. Tonight going down to 42. Currently it's 58 at Midway, 57 in Woodlawn, and 57 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm Annette Flournoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Keep your eyes on the road and both hands on the steering wheel. We will not be held responsible for any accidents. It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Welcome back. The time flies, Michael. We're almost out of time already, but I do want to make sure that people get to know who you are. Who's Michael J. McMurray?
Well, thank you for asking me that. So, Rufus, I'm from Chicago, born on the South Side.
The obvious question is, where'd you go to high school?
When I was about 10 years old, we moved to the south suburb of Markham.
Okay.
And so I went to high school at Thornwood High School, and Northwestern University, undergrad, University of Michigan Law School. So I practiced law for a number of years. Federal government, I've been a prosecutor. I've worked for the labor union. I worked for private practice. So early in the 2000s, I went to work for former Mayor Daley in aviation, and I was deputy commissioner of real estate for the Chicago airport system for all of our airports back then. And I spent about 4 or 5 years there. I worked after then in procurement, first deputy in procurement for the city of Chicago, and then first deputy for general services in Chicago. I left the city's employment in 2008. I went into private practice. I worked for 2 different transportation, architecture, engineering firms. I was president of both of those firms. And just recently, last year, I came to work for the Chicago Department of Aviation, back to work for the city. And it was honored when the mayor asked me to take on this role.
Well, that's a good run. Sounds like you passed the test. So we're glad to glad to have you there. The other question that I mentioned beforehand, when are we going to have the same kind of concessions and the same kind of feel in our airports as we do in some of these other smaller cities?
So we're working on it. Right. So right now we're evaluating. We had this big proposal out for terminals 1 and 3. We called it Order Up. We're evaluating those proposals right now. That's 148,000 square feet of concession space in terminals 1 and 3, over 110 stores. And so we're in the process of evaluating those proposals as I speak. We hope to have some news very soon on that. Hopefully, the end of this quarter, or more likely the beginning of next quarter. And so we're very excited about that proposal. And I think you're going to like what we see, right? So again, it's for terminals 1 and 3. And then we'll be coming out with another RFP very soon too. I mentioned earlier, and we talked about our new Concourse D, $1.3 billion, 590,000 square feet. We'll be putting out a RFP for that sometime in the very near future. Because that concourse will be opening up in 2028. That means that we have to put out an RFP now for that to happen in 2 years, because it takes that amount of time to get it ready. So I think you'll see some great things at O'Hare. And of course, we already have a fantastic, one of the best concessions program at Midway as well. Both airports have actually won national awards. And at Midway, you'll see a lot of Chicago brands, same way and at O'Hare. And so what we're trying to do is mix it up, right? Give people the flavor of Chicago and what Chicago is about, but also bring in the national brands with that as well. That's food and beverage, retail, and some duty free.
Okay, so it's gotten better, and it's going to get better, and it's
sure
expanding, and just be patient is what I just heard.
There you go. Yes, sir.
All right. Michael McMurray, Commissioner from the Chicago Department of Aviation. A lot to talk about, never enough time, but I'm so grateful that you took the time to come in and share this with us. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Rufus, and thank you for everything that you do in your show. It's a good venue and for people like myself and others, but to come in and share about what's happening in Chicago, the impacts whether it's jobs, whether it's politics, whether it's economics, whether it's education, policing. You do a fantastic job. So I want to thank you for what you do for the folks here in Chicago.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. Well, as you move around the country, tell people to tune into WVON. We're available everywhere.
I sure will.
All right,
sure will.
Appreciate you, Commissioner. Thanks so much. And thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me, Rufus. I appreciate it.
My next guest is here, and this is big. It is none other than Valarie Jarrett, the president of the Obama Foundation. Valarie, welcome back to WVON.
Rufus, good morning. It's such a pleasure to be with you, and you know I love your audience.
You know, you say that, but you never talk to me enough. So we got to figure out. We got to figure out that.
Oh man, you all called me yesterday, and I said I will be on the next day. You just have to call. You don't call, you don't write.
Fair enough, because that is exactly what happened. And I did because you had such big news coming out. Everybody's been watching. Everybody's been waiting. Everybody's been wondering, and now we know when the center is actually opening. Tell us about that.
Well, we will be opening to the public on June 19th of this year. We are so excited. Tickets will go on sale in May, so I hope everyone will go on to obama.org and sign up, and then you'll get information about when they'll be available. We are going to be so excited to celebrate with so many of the folks who have helped the president along this journey, beginning with his political career in Chicago, his campaign alumni, the alumni of his administration, the folks who've been supporters of us, the community residents in the surrounding community. All of those are going to be invited to come and celebrate with us in the days that are leading up to the opening ceremony, which will be on June 18th. And then the weekend after, we're going to have festivals and on the grounds and encourage people to come out with their picnic baskets. And we'll have all kinds of entertainment, which we'll be announcing as we get closer to the date. So it's just a tremendous time for us. And I think, Rufus, to be just really straight with you, obviously there are challenges around our city, the country, and the world right now. And as President Obama said in his announcement of the opening date, our campus, the Obama Presidential Center, will be a home for hope. And we hope that people will feel the sense of ownership of that campus and will leave there with the, a little bit more lift in their step that they can do what it takes to help improve the current climate, because ordinary people, we know, when they work together, they do extraordinary things.
Indeed, and hope is what we really need. You all, you've always, I was thinking about this conversation earlier this morning, and I have only known you to be in leading positions in every place that we've gone, looked at, talked about, and been engaged. And always, I and others have always looked to you for advice, for counsel, for leadership. And that's where you've been all the way through everything. And even as you've put together the Obama Center and the run for the presidency. So thank you, first and foremost, for all that you do that helps to move these things along, particularly here in Women's History Month, where we talk about women who are rising. And I'm doing the special thing on women presidents. So you've just fit right into the mix of all of that. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rufus. You're very generous. Obviously, right back at you. You've been an extraordinary leader in our town as well. One other thing I should mention, because it's relevant for anyone who drives past the Obama Presidential Center, and please do, on the south side of Chicago, I call it a real gift to the south side, but a beacon of hope for the world. The screen text, which is on the south and west side, is an excerpt from the president's speech on the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday. He was in Selma that day, he walked across the bridge, not just with civil rights leaders and political leaders, but former President Bush, but also with the foot soldiers, who we know are so important to every possible movement. And so on Saturday, as we commemorated that day, and was also a service for Reverend Jackson, which I had the honor of attending that morning, we invited the community residents who've been so integral to both the design of the campus as well as supporting us through the process. And many of them have lived through construction. And we invited them to celebrate the screen text, which is the excerpt, which we call We Are America. And it talks about, the importance of the word we. And I think that everyone would take a moment and you can go online. You don't even have to drop by and read that text. And it too will give you inspiration. It was such a wonderful evening to see the faces of so many people who've been with us from back in the day coming out to celebrate this important moment.
That's fantastic. I did see you at the Reverend services on Saturday. I didn't get a chance to catch you from across the sanctuary, but I did see you and the team there, and it was such a moving testament to such a great man, and thinking about hope and how he talks about keeping hope alive, and that's kind of where we were, with the foundation of what you all were doing. So it's wonderful that those things continue on. And on that same point, when you talk to the president, let him know that I'm still waiting to talk to him here on WVON. Can't wait to have him.
Oh, you know what? I will be happy to mention that to him, Rufus.
All right. Let's take a quick break. We're talking with President Valarie Jarrett about the opening of the Obama Center and all things because she knows all these things that we can talk to her about. We'll be back in just a moment.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Juliana Stratton isn't being honest about who she is. Fact, Juliana Stratton was the hand-picked candidate of the corrupt Madigan machine, the same machine that spent millions to put her in office. And Stratton repaid the favor, defending Mike Madigan even after his bribery scheme was exposed. Fact, Stratton's massive super PAC is funded by the very contractor running the Broadview ICE Detention Center. Think about it. ICE raids Chicago. Stratton benefits from ICE contractor cash. Fact, Juliana Stratton got caught lying about refusing money from MAGA donors. That's right, Stratton's campaign is bankrolled by MAGA Republicans. Madigan machine, ICE contractor cash, MAGA money. Add those facts up and it's clear. Saying one thing, doing another. That's Juliana Stratton. Paid for by Fair Shake and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Fair Shake is responsible for the content of this advertising. www.fairshakepac.com.
Hi, I'm LaShawn K. Ford, and I'm running for Congress because I see what's happening in our communities every day. I see young people struggling to find opportunity. I see seniors working harder just to make ends meet, and I see families feeling squeezed by rising costs while Washington stays distracted. This Trump administration has brought chaos and corruption instead of real solutions. We need leadership that listens and delivers. As a state legislator, I've spent years fighting for working families, seniors, and communities that too often get left behind. That record is why I'm endorsed by Congressman Danny K. Davis, former U.S. Senator Roland Burst, former Congressman Bobby Rush, former Secretary of State Jesse White, and the Speaker of the Illinois House, Chris Welch. Make your plan to vote, and on your ballot, punch 31, paid for by LaShawn K. Ford for Congress.
Robin Kelly grew up behind the register in her dad's grocery store. So she knows what it means when the same groceries cost more each week. Under Donald Trump, corporations get tax breaks, loopholes, and a green light to price gouge. Families get higher grocery bills, higher childcare costs, high healthcare premiums. It's Trump's economy. Corporate profits first, people last. In Congress, Robin Kelly's been fighting back. Robin took on insurance companies to lower drug costs. She wrote the law extending Medicaid for new moms to a full year because cutting care after 60 days was just wrong. And now Robin Kelly is running for Senate with a people over profits agenda. Medicare for all, so healthcare isn't a ripoff. Cap on childcare costs so families can work. And crack down on corporate price gouging so you're not punished at every turn. People over profits. Robin Kelly for U.S. Senate.
I'm Robin Kelly, Democrat running for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Robin Kelly for Senate.
Hey, Alexa, play WVON 1690 AM.
Getting WVON 1690 AM station from iHeartRadio.
Try it out for yourself. America is listening to WVON.
This is Khomeini Khan, certified financial planner professional. For the past year, I've been on a mission to change lives and build wealth in our community. Together, we're changing the paradigm. This year, I'm back with a new series, Wealth Strategies, Money Talks. Join me every Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. on the Rufus Williams Show as we have thoughtful discussions around building wealth in our community. We'll discuss topics like investing, savings, tax strategies, retirement, and all things money. Yes, that's Tuesday at 8:30 a.m., so set those alarms. Also, be sure to check out the podcast at WVONwealthshow.com.
Khomeini Khan is a certified financial planner professional with Optimal Planning Partners in alliance with Equitable Advisors, LLC member SIPC in Oak Brook, Illinois. For more information, please call 630-575-5046.
This report is sponsored by Text Now. Other wireless carriers tell you when to pay. Text Now asks, what do you need? It's app-first phone service without commitments, credit checks, or a carrier attitude. Built for people who stop asking for permission. Download today.
WVON traffic and weather now.
Still looking at that 30-minute trip along the Ryan from 95th Street into downtown. Heavy in the usual spots, 95th Street to 63rd Street, then again from 55th all the way to the Stevenson. If you're on the Bishop 4, no changes there. Still 20 minutes in from I-8094 to the Ryan. Heavy right around 111th Street, then stop and go all the way to the Ryan. Tuskegee Airmen Memorial, just still 21 minutes. DuSable Lakeshore Drive moving along at 18 minutes from 67th Street to Jackson. On the north end of DuSable Drive, we're still seeing some solid traffic right around Bryn Mawr. Taking a look at our weather on the foggy side for starters, the National Weather Service says we are looking at about a 40% chance of rain, so grab the umbrella just in case. Currently, it's 58 at Midway, 57 in Woodlawn, and 57 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm Annette Flournoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
If you're not out of the bed yet, then what are you waiting for? It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on 1690 WVON.
Welcome back. We are talking to Valarie Jarrett, the president of the Obama Foundation. The center opens on Juneteenth this year, which she shared with us, with events coming up to that and certainly going on beyond that. Valarie, I have to ask you, given where you have been, the exposure that you've had, certainly sitting there in Washington for 8 years, how do you process what's currently going on with our country, and how do we stay hopeful in these moments?
Well, I think one of the ways I stay hopeful is to look at that long arc of the moral universe, which we know bends towards justice, from the words of Martin Luther King. And we have to take the long view and look, when has change ever been easy in this country? It's always been hard. There is a vested interest in holding on to the status quo or going backwards, losing ground. And it's up to those ordinary people that decide that they're going to demand change. And that's how it has always happened. You know, we were talking earlier about the screen text on the Obama Center. And, you know, you think about we the people, in the preamble to our Constitution, we shall overcome, the mantra of the civil rights movement. Yes, we can, from President Obama. It's all about we. And so we stand on the shoulders of people who sacrificed so much, Rufus, for you and I and so many others to have the opportunities that we do. And what we have to do, I think, is focus on preparing the next generation of leaders to pick up the baton and run with it, and to recognize that it's really up to us to feel this sense of empowerment. We have a democracy forum every year at the Obama Foundation, and there we focus like, what are the things that are getting in the way and hurting our democracy, and how does everybody do their part to try to sustain it and strengthen it? It is not self-executing. You and I have had this conversation before. It is not a spectator sport. We have to fight for what we believe are the true values of our country. And so what gives me hope right now is there's so many of the young people that we work with every day at the Obama Foundation, leaders here in the United States, Asia, Africa, Europe, all around the world, who are doing extraordinary things in their communities. And I think the press focuses so much on the negative things that are happening around the world. And that is true, and I do not minimize them in any way. But there are also so many examples of hope. And so for people who are feeling powerless, you know, in your own community, you can do so much. You know, go and volunteer at a local school, register people to vote, go and petition your elected officials and tell them what it is that you want them to do that's in service of you. And that's how change happens. That's what gives me hope.
And see, this is why
what gives you hope, Rufus? What gives you hope?
Well, I've got grandchildren. And
oh yeah, that helps.
that's what does it. And I know that in all the struggles that we've had struggles that were greater, and we've overcome all of that. And at each point, just our ability to be here in this time and look at the things that we've actually gotten done really tells us that we can still get them done. It's just, to your point, making sure that we bring others along with us and make that happen. I would never have imagined some of the things places I've been, things I've done were well beyond any imaginings I ever could have had. And I think
me too.
Yep.
Me too. And certainly my parents couldn't believe any of what happened in their lifetime. My dad grew up in Washington, D.C., and the first time he ever set foot in the White House was when his daughter was a senior advisor. He'd been outside that gate his whole life. And so I'm so grateful that he lived to see President Obama, his election, and that my mom lived to see both elections and the remarkable positive change that happened while we were there. And now it's up to us to just ensure that we're kind of on tilt, to say the very least, and we just have to figure out ways of organizing ourselves and our communities and casting a broad net. I mean, one of the things that we're so proud of at the center is to make everybody feel welcome. It is an incredible gift to the South Side. I grew up on the South Side, so I'm partial to the South Side of Chicago. But we want everyone from all walks of life, from all political ideologies, to feel as though they belong, and that we can have conversations there that are hard, but where we search for common ground. One of our democracy forums, the last one, in fact, was about pluralism, which people, it's a word that you learn in college maybe, but what it really means is, how do we talk to one another? How do we figure out ways of looking for what we have in common as opposed to our differences? How do we listen to one another? And I say this especially to your younger listeners, that social media was intended to bring us closer together, but in a lot of ways it's pushed us further apart, so that we're only talking to people with whom we agree. And that's not how it should be. You should be curious about people who have different views and different perspectives. If nothing else, it makes your argument stronger because you've listened to what the other side says. But you also might discover you have actually more in common than you have differences. And I don't want us to lose that, because it's part of what makes our democracy, which has always been the envy of the world over, so remarkable, is that we have all these different and diverse and richly diverse populations that manage to coexist and find that common thread.
So important. Valarie, this is why we have to talk more. I certainly appreciate all that you do. And those who can, actually it's sold out now, but Valarie will be at the City Club today. And I look forward to lunching with you there and just getting some more inspiration.
Oh, are you coming?
Absolutely.
Oh, good.
Are you kidding me?
Good. All right, Rufus. Well, then, to be continued.
All right, Valarie, thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for all the work that you do. We're looking forward to the Juneteenth opening of the center.
Thank you so much, Rufus.
Be well, my friend. All right, let's find out what's going on in Black Information News and the headlines. We're going to stay on this topic. When we come back, a conversation with Tom Harriman about his book, Liberty and the American Idea, Rebuilding the Foundations. We'll be back right after this.
The talk of Chicago is 1690 WVON, Sherwin, Chicago.
I'm Vanessa Tyler on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First. A Black mother in Michigan is facing a list of charges. Tanya Johnson leaves her 5 children in her minivan. There was a gun under the seat. Her 11-year-old finds it, fires, hitting his 6-year-old sister in the head, shooting her dead in front of the other children. In a Detroit court hearing conducted remotely, the DA says this is tragic for the 11-year-old who allegedly pulled the trigger and the other children who saw their sibling die.
This is a tragedy
that was avoidable. There is going to be a lifelong trauma that this young man is going to suffer as a result of shooting his sister, knowing that when he killed her, the other children that were in the vehicle watching this happen, and this was inevitable. She is a CPL holder. She knows the protocols.
I can tell you, just talking to Ms. Johnson, nobody feels worse right now than Ms. Johnson.
That was Johnson's attorney at the end. The mother pleads not guilty to charges for her 6-year-old daughter's death, which include not safely securing her firearm. It appears Johnson got out of the van to pick up a food delivery. She's a DoorDash driver and had her children with her on deliveries. Her bond was set at $30,000. It's as sick as it sounds. A 22-year-old black young man is accused of raping a 94-year-old woman. Police say it happened in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and because of the nature of the crime, officials say Jeremiah Taylor should face the most severe penalty for the crime, which is life in prison.
I have a lot of trouble even finding the right adjective to describe such a horrendous act.
Authorities say they're not letting Taylor off the hook this time. Reportedly, in a previous case where he was also charged with rape, was dismissed when the victim in that case did not show up. In this case, authorities plan to build a case that sticks. Should parents be worried about a draft and see their sons and daughters go off to war in Iran? So far, the White House insists there are no plans for boots on the ground.
But I certainly will never take away military options on behalf of the President of the United States or the Commander-in-Chief, and he wisely does not do the same for himself.
At last count, 7 Americans have been killed, more than 1,000 people in Iran, and hundreds in Lebanon. And reports say 11 died in Israel. If only Tony's surviving loved ones could hit a harmonious note. It's been a year since group singer Dwayne Wiggins died. Reports are his family is in a full-on feud over his 6-figure estate worth about $700,000. Apparently a cousin was made trustee, not Wiggins's adult children or his new wife. They claim the will was changed toward the end of Wiggins' life while he was sick and on medication. Reportedly, the cousin says he was quite clear and intentionally did not leave them a dime. This case goes to trial in the fall. I'm Vanessa Tyler on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
This report is brought to you by Blindster.com. Kyle Cox started Blindster in his garage back in 2010. Since then, they've sold millions of custom blinds, shades, and shutters nationwide. Their blinds are DIY friendly, guaranteed to fit, and always cheaper than big box stores. Blindster.com.
Who is everyone supporting to be our next state rep? Democrat Asia Kearney, a lifelong South Side resident. Asia's ready to work with Governor Pritzker and fight back against Donald Trump. She's a union member, so you know she's backed by Illinois SEIU. They'll work together to bring down costs and create good-paying jobs. And Asia's a tireless advocate for good public schools. That's why Chicago Teachers Union, Illinois Federation of Teachers, and Cook County College Teachers Union are supporting her campaign. Community leaders like Commissioner Carrie Steele and Alderman William Hall support her because she's committed to keeping us safe. If you're ready to elect a leader who will work hard to bring down costs, strengthen our public schools, protect your rights, and focus on public safety, you need to be with Asia Kearney too. Cast your ballot for Asia Kearney by March 17th. American Future paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. AmericanFuture.org. Not authorized by Asia Kearney or any federal candidate or committee.
A brand new year is the perfect time to set new goals, like letting your money make more money for you. Your financial future can start growing today. This is Hiram Malone, Vice President and Community President of United Fidelity Bank. Right now, we're offering a competitive 6-month CD term with a 4.20% annual percentage yield. That's a smart, secure way to make your money grow for you. Come and see my team today to open your high-yield United Fidelity CD at our Chicago flagship branch at 1701 West 87th Street. At United Fidelity Bank, we're not a big box bank. We're your neighbors, a team dedicated to exceptional customer service and personalized financial solutions tailored to your goals. Bank with us and get the experience you need and the service you deserve. Start earning more with United Fidelity Bank. Online, visit UnitedFidelity.com.
Rates are subject to change at any time. CDs renew automatically to a standard rate in effect at the time of renewal unless instructed otherwise. Member FDIC.
Every Friday at 3 p.m., I step behind the mic with one mission: to cut through the noise. I'm David Seaton, WVON's only conservative voice, and trust me, I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear. I'm unapologetically conservative, proudly anti-progressive, and I don't deal in feelings, I deal in facts. If you're looking for sugar-coated opinions, this isn't your stop. But if you want the truth, straight, no chaser, pull up a chair. The David Seaton Show, Fridays at 3 p.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
This is Khomeini Khan, certified financial planner professional. For the past year, I've been on a mission to change lives and build wealth in our community. Together, we're changing the paradigm. This year, I'm back with a new series, Wealth Strategies, Money Talks. Join me every Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. on the Rufus Williams Show as we have thoughtful discussions around building wealth in our community. We'll discuss topics like investing, savings, tax strategies, retirement, and all things money. Yes, that's Tuesday at 8:30 a.m., so set those alarms. Also, be sure to check out the podcast at WVONWealthShow.com.
Khomeini Khan is a certified financial planner professional with Optimal Planning Partners in alliance with Equitable Advisors, LLC, member SIPC in Oak Brook, Illinois. For more information, please call 630-575-5046.
This report is sponsored by WeatherBug. Get the fastest local alerts and accurate 24/7 forecasts with WeatherBug. It's easy to use and provide real-time customizable alerts so the weather never takes you by surprise. Plan every day with confidence. Download the free WeatherBug app from the App Store now.
WVON traffic and weather now.
We're looking at heavy travel times across the board. We're going to start with DuSable Lakeshore Drive. That trip from 67th Street to Jackson right now bumped up to 22 minutes. As you make your way on the north end of DuSable Lakeshore Drive, pretty much solid from Lawrence to North Avenue. Your complete travel time, Hollywood to Monroe, now 23. The inbound side of the Rhine bumped up to 36 minutes from 95th Street into downtown. Getting to the Rhine along the Bishop Ford, now 20 minutes from I-80-94, pretty much stop and go all the way from 103rd Street in. Along Tuskegee Airmen Memorial, now a 21-minute trip in from I-80 to the Ryan, heavy from 119th Street in. The Stevenson, 55 minutes still from I-355 to DuSable Drive. If you're on the Eisenhower, you're looking at an hour plus, about an hour 5 from Thorndale to the Burns Circle. On the outbound side, you do want to look out for a crash is blocking the right lane at Costner, making that outbound trip just about 50. The Kennedy in from O'Hare, still just about 50 minutes. Getting to the airport, we are seeing some solid conditions right around Montrose as you make your way to Sayre. Give yourself 30 minutes. Taking a look at our weather, foggy and humid today. The National Weather Service says we are looking at about a 40% chance of rain tonight, going down to around 42. Currently, it's 58 at O'Hare, 57 in Riverdale, and 57 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm NF Lornoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Voting is power. Beeline free and proud. Early voting for the March 17th election. WVON votes.
Live from the Xfinity Studios, it's the station that America listens to. WVON, Berwyn, Chicago. It's Rufus Williams on Chicago's essential storyteller. WVON.
You wonder how I do it. It's just one simple rule. I'm just cool.
Welcome back. Perfect follow-up, perfect segue from my conversation with Valarie Jarrett to my next guest. And here are the questions that are being asked. Will the United States survive as a republic envisioned by the founders or be torn apart by alienation, distrust, and enmity? Do we have the fortitude and grit to learn the lessons and embrace the principles that will lead to an authentic American renewal? Tom Harriman has written a book. It's titled Liberty and the American Idea, where he addresses these issues pretty much head on. Tom, good morning and welcome to WVON.
Good morning, Rufus. I'm glad to be with you this morning.
No, it's so good to have you. Talk about your book. You've written to address some of the things that we talk about there. And you've talked about concerns, considerations, and courage. Tell us about why you wrote this book, how you feel about where we are in the country, and how we're going to get beyond it.
Well, the book was written for Americans who care about America and are concerned about the future. We all are very aware that things are not going well, and many of us recognize that they've not been going well for a long time. I think working Americans in particular have known that something is wrong for decades. The book comes to you in two parts. I can very quickly outline these two parts. Part one reviews ideas and influences that have made the United States what it is and invites you to consider what you wish to keep and what you wish to discard. And I've tried hard to be as nonpartisan as possible. I'm not giving you answers to these questions, but presenting you with a balanced, hopefully a balanced perspective on what we need to think about if we were to get together as Americans and have a candid discussion. Part two proposes a practical strategy for making such a discussion actually possible, because as we know, most of us don't like to talk to each other. Most of us are many of us are refusing to talk to each other. So how do we make such a discussion actually possible? And maybe that's what we can talk about this morning.
Yeah, let's talk about that first, because as you say, communication is key. And if we're not talking, then we're not communicating. And social media puts us in different places, because we are much stronger when we're on social media than we are when we're talking to people face to face. How do we get through this communication issue? Because yes, if we don't talk, then we don't deal with any of these issues of alienation, of just being in polar different from one another.
Well, I've tried to deal with that as best I can, as clearly as I can, with practical guidance. But it all has to start in our local neighborhoods and communities, because as conditions deteriorate, I believe that our local neighborhoods and communities are the only place where such a dialogue will be possible. And it will become more necessary as conditions deteriorate, because we're going to need our neighbors. We're going to need people who we know, who we can depend on, who have knowledge and experience and learned skills that we're going to need. Nobody else is going to do this for us. So it's going to be all about learning how to talk to each other locally, our friends and neighbors. If we can't do this, we're going to be heading into a very dark time.
It begins with communication. We're talking with Tom Harriman. His book is titled Liberty and the American Idea, Rebuilding the Foundations. It's available wherever you get your books. We'll talk more with Tom right after this.
Chantel Franklin knows the struggle because she's lived it. As a child, she didn't always have a home to go to, changing schools constantly, struggling to get by. But she turned her troubles into triumph. She's dedicated her life to making sure no other children fall through the cracks. Chantel Franklin helped deliver for us in the Attorney General Kwame Raoul's office, defending our rights and pushing back against Donald Trump's harmful policies. Now, Chantel is running for the State House as a Democrat to keep fighting for us. Chantel will work to make housing more affordable and accessible, so no child grows up facing housing insecurity like she did. And Chantel will stand up to Donald Trump's harmful policies, including his ICE raids whenever they try to attack our neighbors. Vote for Chantel Franklin by March 17th. That's Chantel Franklin by March 17th. American Future paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. AmericanFuture.org. Not authorized by Chantel Franklin or any federal candidate or committee.
Nubia Garcia and Somi bring fresh energy and genre-blending jazz music to Symphony Center March 13th. Tenor saxophonist Nubia Garcia is a driving force within the UK jazz scene and effortlessly weaves rich layers of Afro-Caribbean rhythms, dub, spiritual jazz, and electronic textures in a powerful sound. Daughter of East African immigrants, Grammy-nominated vocalist Somi returns home to Illinois, fusing African grooves and jazz singing. For tickets, visit cso.org/jazz.
Hi, I'm Richard Boykin, and I want to be your next congressman in the 7th Congressional District. I have a sense of urgency. Now is the time to reverse the cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, and SNAP benefits. Now is the time to extend the Obamacare subsidies. Now is the time to close the life expectancy gap and other healthcare disparities. Now is the time to close the wealth disparity. Now is the time to close the achievement gap. Now is the time to protect Social Security for our senior citizens. Now is the time to pass a constitutional amendment recognizing healthcare as a right. Now is the time to make housing more affordable. Now is the time to fight. Punch 39. Richard Boykin for Congress. Paid for and authorized by Richard Boykin for Congress.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultrafine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
If you need up to $3,000, go to WeFixMoney.com. WeFixMoney.com is the name you can trust. It's free to use, available 24/7, and you are never required to accept any loan offer. Some lenders offer same-day funding. If you need up to $3,000, type WeFixMoney.com directly into your browser. WeFixMoney.com has been helping customers for 15 years and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. So, if you need cash for credit card bills, car repairs, child care, or anything else, go to WeFixMoney.com. Make sure you type WeFixMoney.com directly in your browser. Go to the company you trust, WeFixMoney.com. Just fill in the information and get an answer in minutes at WeFixMoney.com. For up to $3,000, go to WeFixMoney.com. That's WeFixMoney.com.
This is your host and life coach, Linnell Harris, and I want you to join me every Sunday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. for Inspirational Perspective. On Inspirational Perspective, we talk life vision, life purpose, and the show is all about helping you live the best life possible. So join me as we look at supporting you in living the life you intend to live and making your life's vision a reality. Every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 a.m. WVON.
This report is brought to you by Capital One. What's in your wallet? Capital One offers no fees or minimums on checking accounts, and most Capital One cafes are open 7 days a week to assist you with your banking needs. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank. Capital One, NA member FDIC.
Illinois, we need to be able to trust our next senator. And Juliana Stratton isn't being honest about who she is. Stratton's massive super PAC is funded by the very contractor running the Broadview ICE Detention Center. ICE raids Chicago. Stratton benefits from ICE contractor cash. Juliana Stratton even got caught lying about refusing money from MAGA donors. We can't trust Juliana Stratton. Democrat Robin Kelly is a real progressive. Unbought, unbossed.
Outstanding members of the House of Representatives, Robin Kelly.
Barack Obama knows. Robin Kelly always fights for us. Lowering costs, raising wages, stopping gun violence. Real progressive Robin Kelly for U.S. Senate. Endorsed by the Congressional Black Caucus and elect Democratic women. Paid for by Protect Progress and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Protect Progress is responsible for the content of this advertising. www.protectprogresspac.com.
Tuned in to your favorite WVON personalities on Facebook Live? Don't just watch, like it, love it, share it. Every click helps us grow the conversation and keep the community strong. So remember, like it, love it, share it, Chicago.
This report is brought to you by Blindster.com. Kyle Cox started Blindster in his garage back in 2010. Since then, they've sold millions of custom blinds, shades, and shutters nationwide. Their blinds are DIY friendly, guaranteed to fit, and always cheaper than big box stores. Blindster.com.
Now back to the morning show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Welcome back. My guest, Tom Harriman, is a ninth-generation American who was committed to the vision of the American founders and the integrity of the United States Constitution. A former project manager now in his retirement years, he's writing for a future we can all respect and believe in. His book is titled Liberty and the American Idea, Rebuilding the Foundations. Tom, when you think about this, and we talked about communication in the very beginning as a way to get through these issues of alienation, distrust, and enmity, these things seem to be so deeply entrenched in the moment and where we are. How do we get there? What is the thing that we need to do? Where does the courage come from to begin to break down these barriers and begin to have the conversations that you speak of?
Well, I am arguing that the only place, practically speaking, where this can happen is in our local neighborhoods and communities. And the reason for that is that we're going to have increasingly practical problems that we need to resolve and can only resolve if everybody is on the same page. And that means working with people who may have different politics than we do, different religion, a different shade of their skin, and really, that makes no difference when, as a practical matter, we need to be engaged with dependable neighbors who have knowledge and experience and practical skills that we're going to need as conditions deteriorate. This is a necessity, and we have no choice. And we had better start working on it now because trust is only built up over time. We can't wait until we're desperate to start working on building dependable relationships with our neighbors.
Tom, I don't dispute any of that, except we run into this challenge currently about facts. And how do we come to a point that we can at least agree on what the facts are? Because that seems to be where we stand in this current moment.
Well, we're going to have to work questions like this out among ourselves, which is why we need to learn how to do it. And I think in order to start learning, we need to understand that we do not need to change our beliefs or opinions in order to work on constructive problem solving. Security will only be possible if we refrain from imposing our beliefs on one another. Argument will make safety impossible. It'll make constructive action impossible. But we do not need to change our beliefs or opinions to work on this. We simply need, I should perhaps use the word simply, but because it's quite challenging, but we need to learn how to listen to one another with interest in where our ideas and experience have come from, and not impose ourselves on them, not listen for the purpose of debate, but for the purpose of understanding.
Well, it seems like we can better get there if we know that we're moving towards one big goal. And as your book points out, that one big goal should very well be liberty and what our founding fathers began with. And if we're all moving towards a goal that big and that audacious, then irrespective of the facts or the opinions or how we get there, that goal should take us there.
Well, it's also possible that we could best start talking to each other, sitting around the kitchen table, addressing problems that we can agree are facing us in our local neighborhoods, and to plan and think about them, strategizing, and perhaps to take action. I think starting with immediate needs and problem solving in our neighborhoods is going to be much easier than doing what we've been doing, which is to try to talk about things on a national and regional level.
Got it.
You know, the question before us is whether we're going to accept a downward spiral into disorder and degradation, or will we seek a future we can respect and believe in? And these are questions that can really only be practically answered locally. And unfortunately, I think things are going to get worse.
Well, that makes perfect sense. Start at home. Tom Harriman, thank you for your book, your thoughts, and thanks for coming on with us this morning. The book is titled Liberty and the American Ideal, Rebuilding the Foundations by Tom Harriman. Appreciate you, Tom. Thank you so much.
Glad to do it.
All right, be well. Let's find out what's going on in the news from Annette, and we'll have more. Khomeini's here. We'll talk wealth strategies when we come back after this.
A humid, foggy start to your day. Temperatures are expected in the 60s. Good morning. I'm Anna Flournoy, and here's what's happening. The Obama Presidential Center is set to open this summer to mark the Juneteenth holiday. Valarie Jarrett, former senior advisor to President Obama and CEO of the Obama Foundation, spoke exclusively this morning with WVON's Rufus Williams. She says the foundation is a gift and offers programs that will inspire and empower generations to come.
It's all about we. And so we stand on the shoulders of people who sacrificed so much, Rufus, for you and I and so many others to have the opportunities that we do. And what we have to do, I think, is focus on preparing the next generation of leaders to pick up the baton and run with it.
The campus will include a museum, a branch of the Chicago Public Library, green spaces with public art, and a basketball court. The grand opening celebration is set for June 18th with a series of events through June 21st. The Obama Presidential Center on the South Side will officially open to the public on June 19th. Well, a judge is ordering former Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard to pay up $10,000 in back rent and damages. According to reports, Cook County Sheriff's deputies tried and failed to serve Henyard with eviction papers back in October of 2024. She and her boyfriend are accused of failing to pay rent for their home. Well, the Civilian Office of Police Accountability is investigating a deadly police-involved shooting on the West Side. Perry Williams has that story.
The incident happened yesterday evening in the 800 block of North Holman Avenue. This resident was near the scene.
Once the shots went off, I yelled for her to run in the house. And then we just hid in the house for a few minutes until it cleared off.
Police say officers tried to stop the driver of a vehicle suspected of being involved in an earlier shooting. The car sped off and struck a woman in the street before he was stopped and 6 shots rang out. The suspect was taken to a hospital where he was pronounced dead. The woman struck by the vehicle was taken to a hospital in good condition. I'm Perry Williams.
And Kanye West is returning to the stage in the U.S. The tour is called Yay Homecoming. It's set for April 3rd at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. Tickets go on sale Wednesday. Ye's new album, Bully, is set to release on March 20th. Well, that's a look at our news now on 1690 WVON. Traffic and weather up next. WVON News Time, 8:34.
Hi, I'm Lori Smith, host of Meeting the Moment, coming to WVON beginning Saturday, March 21st at 12 noon. WVON, in partnership with the Chicago Community Trust, developed Meeting the Moment to amplify the voices of nonprofits across Chicagoland, giving them the communication tools they need to expand their reach and turn awareness into action. Right now, our communities are facing real challenges, from economic uncertainty to public safety to access and equity. But in the middle of it all, there are organizations doing the work quietly, faithfully, powerfully. With Meeting the Moment, we'll have honest conversations about the issues shaping our region and, more importantly, the solutions happening on the ground. And each week, we'll feature a Chicagoland nonprofit making a difference. You'll hear their story and find out how you can support their work, because Meeting the Moment is about more than just awareness. It's about impact. Join the Meeting the Moment movement, a program designed for the doers. For more information, visit WVON.com/Meeting the Moment. Listen every Saturday at 12 noon, right here on WVON 1690, the talk of Chicago. Let's meet the moment together. Powered by the Chicago Community Trust.
Illinois, we need to be able to trust our next senator. And Juliana Stratton isn't being honest about who she is. Stratton's massive super PAC is funded by the very contractor running the Broadview ICE Detention Center. ICE raids Chicago. Stratton benefits from ICE contractor cash. Juliana Stratton even got caught lying about refusing money from MAGA donors. We can't trust Juliana Stratton. Democrat Robin Kelly is a real progressive. Unbought, unbossed.
Outstanding members of the House of Representatives, Robin Kelly.
Barack Obama knows Robin Kelly always fights for us, lowering costs, raising wages, stopping gun violence. Real progressive Robin Kelly for U.S. Senate. Endorsed by the Congressional Black Caucus and elect Democratic women. Paid for by Protect Progress and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Protect Progress is responsible for the content of this advertising. www.protectprogresspac.com.
Hello, this is Congressman Danny Davis, and I want to tell you why I'm supporting Tony Preckwinkle for Cook County Board President. When Donald Trump targeted our community and deployed mass ICE agents onto our streets, Tony fought back, barring ICE from county buildings, especially our hospitals, and with Governor Pritzker defeated Trump in court. Tony has also taken on the financial pressure facing our families. She led the effort to eliminate medical debt in Cook County, work that has now erased $1.5 billion for our residents. For 15 years, she's balanced the county budget without raising property taxes, expanded health care to more than 400,000 people through county care, and invested hundreds of millions of dollars in community safety and small business. That's why I'm with Tony. I'm Congressman Danny Davis. Join me, Governor Pritzker, and so many others across Cook County in supporting Tony Preckwinkle for County Board President.
Paid for by Preckwinkle for President.
Hey Alexa, play WVON 1690 AM.
Getting WVON 1690 AM station from iHeartRadio.
Try it out for yourself. America is listening to WVON. The following is paid programming. The views are not necessarily those of this station. It's time for the Wealth Strategy Show with Khomeini Khan, powered by Optimal Planning Partners.
Khomeini Khan, certified financial planner professional, offers securities through Equitable Advisors, LLC, New York, New York, 212-314-4600. Member FINRA, SIPC, Equitable Financial Advisors in Michigan and Tennessee. Annuity and insurance products offered through Equitable Network, LLC, and does not provide tax or legal advice. Individuals may transact business and or respond to inquiries only in states in which they are properly registered and or licensed. This informational and educational radio segment does not offer or constitute and should not be relied upon as financial business or tax advice.
It gets so hard, just trying to figure it out, fight it down, trying to believe God, trying to watch the words in my mouth and stay on the ride. Trouble come and go, even when the mountain's too high or the valley low. Never let your faith go. Oh, never let your faith go. I've been there before, so confused, don't know which way to go. Stressed out, world so crazy now, stay in the house. Fear trying to rise up, got terrorists disguised. They look like us, but we know who we trust. Just when I say that we gon' be alright. We gon' be alright. Tell them, we gon' be alright. Alright. Say we gon' be alright.
Welcome back. In a fast-moving morning, we get a chance to breathe and think about the future, think about how we're going to be all right in this future. We have joining us, as it happens every Tuesday at this time, none other than Khomeini Khan to talk about what strategies. Khomeini, welcome back.
Good morning, Rufus. How you doing this morning?
I am good. I think it's a mix of daylight savings time and Rufus not knowing when and how to go home. That has me a little bit tired, but today's gonna be another one of those days. I think I'll catch up maybe this weekend.
Yeah, you had a great show this morning. We're just talking about that. Had some awesome guests on. I was listening in this morning, so congratulations on a great show. And obviously want to welcome the listeners for your Tuesday check-in with your money wealth strategies. We got some good things to talk about today. But before I get to that, I'm actually celebrating my 2-year wedding anniversary today. So
is that right?
I want to give a shout out to my wife, Imani Khan, and just say congrats on our 2-year wedding anniversary today.
Congrats on your wedding anniversary, and congrats on putting up with my good frat brother, because I know
right.
It ain't always easy.
That's right.
But it begins somewhere. So 2 years is good.
Yeah, 2 years and counting. 2 years to infinity.
Good,
so, yeah.
good for you. And in that same vein, this is where it really becomes important to start thinking about future and wealth and retaining and investing and all, which, again, I ask you this every week, but I think we need to continue to revisit why we do this so regularly and why this segment is so important.
Yeah, it is important that we kind of, give people a reminder around why we do this segment and why it is important, why we need to continue to have a segment like this, because, this is about having ongoing discussions about how we build wealth for our families, how we build wealth individually, and particularly about how we build wealth in the African American community. And so this segment is important because we're going to talk every single week about different strategies and different ideas around building wealth and how we can use these ideas and personalize them to build wealth for ourselves. Everything from, building wealth through home ownership, which is so important, and using that as a vessel to build wealth for our family. In many cases, our homes are the largest asset most people have. So it's such an important vehicle to use to build wealth. Thinking about investing and understanding what the stock market is and investment opportunities, that's an important vehicle for building wealth. Thinking about entrepreneurship and businesses and people starting up businesses, that's an important vehicle for also building wealth. And then just simple things like, products and services like life insurance. That's a vehicle to be able to potentially pass on wealth to the next generation. So we're going to continue to have these discussions, Rufus. And, I think it's important because we have to begin to, understand how we build wealth, use some of these strategies to pass that on to our families as well.
Indeed. And I'm sure your children enjoy these conversations that they have with you as they do that. But today we'll talk about this concept that's been out for some time. I'm not sure why we're talking about it, because Donald Trump said he won affordability. But if he won, that means everybody else lost, which I think is the experience that we have, which is why we need to talk about it. So the financial tip of the day, talk to us about managing affordability.
Yeah, that is our financial tip of the day, managing affordability and what that means for you and your family. That's kind of like the buzzword right now, affordability. And what does affordability really mean? And so what is affordability? When you hear that word, it's kind of like a hot topic, but affordability is about being able to manage household expenses and everyday goods and services, and having those expenses at a place that is affordable for you and your family, and it doesn't bring on financial strain. So many people are under financial strain right now for a lot of different reasons as it relates to affordability. So we're going to get into that a little bit, talk about some of the impacts of affordability, and even get some suggestions and solutions people can use to help manage affordability for themselves and their household.
Yeah, these are difficult times. They've become more difficult in the last week or so, but affordability means, in the lingo of the experienced folks, trying to make my ends meet.
Trying to make your ends meet, making that dollar stretch to the end of the month, right?
Trying to make my ends meet. So when we think about that and we start to talk about affordability itself, and again, we're in some difficult times right now. I haven't gone, unfortunately, to fill my gas tank in the last week. I have to go today because gas only lasts for so long.
Yep.
And the reason I haven't gone is because the lines have been long, because every hour the pumps, the price goes up.
Yeah.
So given the fact that we don't have the stability in our economy, talk about why it really matters. Why does affordability really matter?
It really does matter. And let me share some key statistics with you around affordability, Rufus. And so one statistic that I read and happened upon is, 30% of Americans spend more than half of their income on housing. That's according to HUD. Healthcare costs account for 18% of the total GDP in the economy. That's another potential, obviously, big cost. Student loan debt, $1.7 trillion, according to the Federal Reserve. And then obviously rising costs of stagnant wages really do impact households as it relates to affordability. So why is it important? It's important for all those different reasons, because affordability has a major impact on all different areas of our lives. And so, for example, thinking about just economic stability and security, right? Just being able to afford those simple everyday things, just like you said, Rufus, going to the gas station, going to the grocery store. Obviously, affordability has a big impact on just the things that we can do on an everyday basis. Thinking about wealth generation and how we create wealth. When we use more of our everyday dollars towards higher costs, there's less money for wealth generation, saving and investing. So it impacts us in that way. We think about just our mental and physical health. People, when costs go up and things rise, it's a lot more pressure and stress people face to try to figure out how to make that dollar last to the end of the month. So it does have a big impact on our health and wellness. And then finally, obviously from an affordability standpoint, it really impacts people's financial economic security, because if you don't have that extra money, you're using it up because costs are going up. It's hard to do those extra things that you need to be able to do, everything from jobs to affordable housing, just everyday expenses rising. So it has an impact in a lot of different areas of our lives, whether we realize it or not.
You mentioned a lot of things there, and probably each of them could be a whole segment, a whole hour to start to talk about. When you mentioned the amount that people spend on housing,
yes,
30% of people spend 50% of their income just to have shelter. That's a lot, and that's not even talking about the level of the quality of shelter or what all the other things are that then plays into. So talk more about, if you would, Khomeini, the key factors that are impacting this for individuals and families, because first, when you think, that number is just mind-blowing.
Yeah,
and that either means that people aren't making enough money so that housing is taking up so much, or people are living beyond their means that housing is taking up so much, which is, I don't think it's the last part, unless their means are so low.
Yeah.
But talk about what these factors are that are impacting it and what people can do to help deal with some of those things.
Yeah, and that's an important point. And it's probably some of both of those things, Rufus. Just a quick statistic, in Chicago, let's make it specific to Chicago. It says 50% of renters in Chicago, they spent 30% of their net income on rent. So 50%, half of Chicagoans are spending at least 30% of their income on rent. And that's according to Redfin.
Now stay that for a second, because they're spending it on rent. Which means they're not building any equity in what it is that they're doing, which means then it's the equity that helps to build wealth, which is the whole thing that we're talking about.
That's right. And it's like a full circle, right? And so, that extra cost that you're paying, those rising costs as it relates to renting and obviously that's, some people that's, financially, that is this position that people are in at that point. And maybe they do want to potentially get a house or start to think about building wealth, but obviously we have to tackle that situation. And so rising costs definitely have an impact. So everything from affordable housing and costs related to housing, that has a big impact. Another big impact obviously is healthcare. And so healthcare costs, people, there's just rising costs across the board. Most people can tell you go to the emergency room, and if you don't have insurance, forget about it. But, even if you do have insurance, those bills can be very, very large, everything from co-insurance to prescription costs, deductibles. And so healthcare costs are a big concern as it relates to affordability. Education costs, one quick statistic, tuition has increased by over 200% in the last 20 years. Not 100%, 200%. And most parents who are paying for college, they can definitely vouch for that. And so making sure that obviously education can be affordable is a big piece around affordability. And actually the average student loan debt is about $37,000 per person now. And so that's a big impact into affordability. And of course, wage stagnation. Minimum wage hasn't gone up since 2009. So a lot of people are stagnant in wages, obviously federal minimum wage, Illinois, obviously, and other states have raised it, but federal minimum wages haven't gone up since 2009. So that's a big problem. And then just inflation in general, inflation is just essentially how costs and services and goods just go up over the economy overall. And of course, we've heard a lot about inflation in the news and the Fed trying to address inflation and interest rates and things like that. And so inflation can be a problem, and that has a big impact on affordability. And so just like you said right now, gas costs, grocery costs, energy costs, all of these things impact the bottom line on what we have so far as trying to make ends meet. So,
I'm looking, Renee says taxes, water bills, absurd gas and electric bills, all these things are out of control and out of our control.
Yeah.
The last time the mayor was on with me, I mentioned to him, when he comes back, I'd like to talk to him about what's being done to make to reduce the cost of life for people in Chicago.
Yeah.
Because these things are just high.
Mhm.
And I haven't even had a chance yet to talk about my parking tickets and what that did. And fortunately I could afford it, but I can only also imagine people who are really stretching when they have the kind of run-in that I did with the authorities. And I wasn't wrong. I just ended up having to pay, which made it worse.
Okay.
So there are things that we just can't control. So even though we come and we talk about wealth strategies every week, these are the things today that are keeping people from getting there, because the cost of life here is just more expensive than people can handle.
That's true.
So recognizing that and recognizing we still got to get from day to day, we still got to get through this. What are some of the kind of solutions or strategies that people can think about in trying to manage affordability until I have a chance to talk to the mayor about what you're doing to bring our costs down?
That's right. And so, obviously, we talked about, what affordability is and how it impacts our lives. So let's talk about some solutions. That's what this is all about with wealth strategy. Let's shift to what can we do in our own households and our own lives. And so one thing we can do to be able to manage affordability for ourselves and our family, how about financial planning? That's what I'm here for. This is what I'm here about, financial planning. And so really about creating a plan, being intentional, understanding that, right, we got costs rising, we got just so much money to last to the end of the month. How do I make it work? If you're comfortable with your finances and, have a good handle on your expenses, your income and things like that, that's great. But if you don't, that's what having a financial plan is about. And even if you do, we can always do a little bit better. And so that's what I do as a financial planner. So helping people create financial plans to be able to manage things like affordability, saving, investing, and how to do it all. So that's another big piece. So think about financial planning, think about financial literacy and education, and that's what we're here as it relates to wealth strategy, being able to educate ourselves, because maybe someone will hear something today that they can use for their family and their lives to help them to be able to say, just get a little bit closer, or just be able to manage affordability a little bit better. So being able to educate ourselves around what we can do just, financially in general. Another strategy is, every single week we talk about that emergency fund, so when prices and things go up and we need to have more money to be able to use, it's so important to have a rainy day fund, an emergency fund to be able to tap into for those short-term sort of, unknowns, right? And so we're in kind of a, very much in unknown territory right now, so far as the market and so far as just things going on in the world. And so, but you might say, hey, I'm trying to start one now. What can I do? Just start by a little bit every single paycheck. Put a little aside into a specific fund, be it savings or a money market, just something that you can touch. So start today. Even if you don't have that, 6 months of expenses set aside, just start today by putting something aside each and every paycheck, and you'd be surprised how it builds up over time. Another strategy we can actually do and help ourselves right now, looking at our budget. It's so important, because as costs and expenses go up, what can we do? We can look at what we're actually spending, and so maybe it's a time to look at those subscription plans and see if we can kind of, cut a little subscription here, cut a little subscription there, be able to manage those costs and those expenses going out the household. Maybe you need to look at, maybe dining out, cut back to once a month as opposed to every other week. Every little bit counts, when things are tight, and we're talking about affordability and making that check last to the end of the month. So really analyzing that budget. And so, if you're not comfortable doing it, don't know how to do it, that's where you reach out to a financial planner. They even have some not-for-profit associations out there which can help people kind of look at their own finances. But of course, obviously that's why I'm here to help people from a financial planning standpoint. Hedge for inflation. What does that mean? So hedge for inflation, obviously inflation is how costs and things go up. There are different investments out there that can help you hedge or be able to help you kind of keep pace with inflation. A lot of different type of investments, a lot of different type of services out there where you can actually have money that you have saved and investing right now. You can tie it to inflation-based products and services to make sure that they keep up with time, with the cost, rising costs overall. And so if you don't understand that, reach out to my office. We can definitely put you in some options that can help you keep pace with inflation. And then obviously, last but not least, which is the obvious one, how about trying to find different ways we increase our income into our household? And so maybe trying to find part-time work. This is a gig economy, so there's no shortage of different type of jobs, gigs, and different sort of opportunities to make additional money in the household. And so thinking about part-time work or consulting is an important way, because if you need a little bit more money, maybe just to make ends meet, that's potentially a way to do it.
630-575-5046. He said reach out to his office. That's how you reach him, or go to his website, WVONwealthshow.com. Fill out the form, reach Khomeini. You mentioned the increasing price of college. Yes. Education is important. That's what the bridge is. It gets us so often from poverty to prosperity. I know what happened in generations before, certainly in my family. When we reach these points, and it happens so often, it happened to me, we reach the point that it's time to go and the money just isn't there. What can people do now in financial planning that gets ready for these children who are going to ultimately be ready to go to college?
No, that's a great question, Rufus. And, education is so important. And we know, like you said, it's kind of the ticket for many of us for a better life, more income, et cetera. And so there are a lot of things people can do. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, I shared on one of the shows just different ways we can save for college. And so I'm going to make sure that we dedicate an entire show around planning for college and things that we can do, everything from seeking out financial aid and grants to being able to look at scholarships, and obviously things we can do today, like looking at college savings plans and things like that we can just start to set money aside and even potentially get some tax benefits while we do it. And so we're going to dedicate an entire show to being able to save for college for our families, our children, and want to make sure I can dedicate that proper time. But there are lots of things that we can do. And, obviously, affordability does impact college, but there are things that we can do. There are solutions that we have, and we can take control of our own future. And we'll be talking about that. So please continue to join us again on Wealth Strategies.
Indeed, because when we see the costs rising like that, and we know this mountain is down the road, the only way we can climb it is to get ready for it now, to get into the training and to put the money aside. So that's going to be really important. Khomeini, who needs a financial plan?
So that is exactly the topic of next week, Rufus. And so next week we are talking about who needs a financial plan. So that is our topic of the week. And so a lot of people need a financial plan. And so we're going to talk about specifically how it can impact you, who is it ideal for, and how does it work? And so financial planning is our topic next week, Rufus.
Well, it's going to be so interesting because as we talk, if you don't have much, you need a financial plan to make your ends meet. And it's always interesting because I do have friends who have much, and they talk about talking to their financial planner.
That's right.
So it seems that it's across the board. That the answer is obvious that I just gave, but we'll get into more detail about that next week. Again, you can reach Khomeini. Call 630-575-5046 or go to the website, WVONwealthshow.com. Fill out a contact card or complete the Discovery Financial Survey to get started. Khomeini?
I've been having some great discussions with WVON listeners, so definitely encourage people to continue to reach out. It seems like a lot of people have questions, and we don't get a chance to answer those questions individually. So reach out to my office. I'm happy to have a discussion with you about your situation. Talked to a listener last week who's getting ready to retire, and we had to have some tough conversation around finances and savings and retirement. And so, so definitely encourage people to continue to reach out so you can get the answers that you need for you and your family so you can make better choices about your finances. 630-575-5046. So again, I thank the listeners for listening in today. I look forward to talking again next week, Rufus, our Tuesday check-in with your money. And in the meantime, have a blessed week.
Indeed. Look, Equitable Advisors, LLC, member FINRA, SIPC, a broker-dealer. Equitable Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Khomeini, appreciate you coming. 30 minutes goes faster every week when we get into this because there are other levels that we need to get into, and I appreciate you picking them up so that we can discuss them going forward. And folks, please stop in, stay in. We'll get it. We'll talk about it. We'll make it work because I do know that every year, and it's around this time, hard conversations are taking place at the dinner table about college, what families can afford and what they can't, and to try to identify those opportunities early on, as early as possible, before the baby's born almost.
Absolutely.
is the best way, because this day does come. Khomeini, thank you again for being here to share this. We're going to leave right there for today, ladies and gentlemen. Annette, always appreciate you and what you do. You're magnificent at bringing all the news together. And we appreciate Titus, who's turned into Matt. Somehow they just look alike with different hair and other things, height, skin color. Both of you have a beard, although Titus is a little tighter than you. Anyway, Matt, thank you. Thanks for being here and helping to wrap all these things up. We appreciate you as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you, as I always do, as you go through the course of the day, you will come across people that are dealing with things that you don't know anything about. So please be kind, always. And with that, Annette, tell us what's in the headlines. And Matt, take us home.
The talk of Chicago is 1690 WVON Sherwin, Chicago.
I'm Vanessa Tyler on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First. A Black mother in Michigan is facing a list of charges. Tanya Johnson leaves her 5 children in her minivan. There was a gun under the seat. Her 11-year-old finds it, fires, hitting his 6-year-old sister in the head, shooting her dead in front of the other children. In a Detroit court hearing conducted remotely, the DA says this is tragic for the 11-year-old who allegedly pulled the trigger and the other children who saw their sibling die.
This is a tragedy that was avoidable. There is going to be a lifelong trauma that this young man is going to suffer as a result of shooting his sister, knowing that when he killed her, the other children that were in the vehicle watching this happen, and this was inevitable. She is a CPL holder. She knows the protocols.
I can tell you, just talking to Miss Johnson, nobody feels worse right now than Miss Johnson.
That was Johnson's attorney at the end. The mother pleads not guilty to charges for her 6-year-old daughter's death, which include not safely securing her firearm. It appears Johnson got out of the van to pick up a food delivery. She's a DoorDash driver and had her children with her on deliveries. Her bond was set at $30,000. It's as sick as it sounds. A 22-year-old Black young man is accused of raping a 94-year-old woman. Police say it happened in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and because of the nature of the crime, officials say Jeremiah Taylor should face the most severe penalty for the crime, which is life in prison.
I have a lot of trouble even finding the right adjective to describe such a horrendous act.
Authorities say they're not letting Taylor off the hook this time. Reportedly, in a previous case where he was also charged with rape,